The Cavaliers are the worst team in the NBA. They were trying to win games and still finished above the Warriors. They have 4 first-round picks from the last 2 seasons and basically nothing to show for it. I think Collin Sexton will be a good 6th man. That's it. They have no cap space. And do not blame LeBron James for leaving them in this mess. The Cavaliers front office has made plenty of bad moves. In this video, we're explaining the one way the Cavs can get out of this horrible situation. Yes, believe it or not, there is still some hope for the worst team in the league. Hey, it's Casey. Welcome to AM Hoops. Hit subscribe and notification bells. It really helps out the channel. So earlier last week, I think it was, I said we were done with off-season Wednesday because the games had started, but there were only 2 teams left. I kind of felt like it was a little unfair for any fan base out there of the Cavaliers, especially, to not hear about their off-season. So we always start with the basics. For the Cavaliers, their cap space, 0. Basically used it on Andre Drummond because he picked up his option. Their draft pick, they have an equal chance at the best shot at #1 overall, guaranteed to be in the top 6. Their needs, everything. A lot more on that later. And their relevant free agents, they have a few, but you gotta know Tristan Thompson is out. First, what's wrong with the Cavs? We need to know that before we fix anything. I know a lot of you are upset that earlier I said Collin Sexton is a 6th man type player and that's it. Honestly, I think every single one of their first round guards is disappointing and none of them can be a franchise type player. First off, Sexton. Okay, yes, he can score 20 points per game, which is amazing. We saw that he's really good offensively as a scorer toward the end of the year, but he can't set up teammates at an above average level. He's a point guard. That means he's pretty one-dimensional, the type of scorer you would want on a good team off the bench. Now, I hate to judge Darius Garland that harshly because, you know, he was coming off a surgery, he barely played in college, but he was awful in year 1. How bad? Cleveland's own newspaper said in a headline, Darius Garland was the NBA's worst player. They talk about all the advanced stats that he sucked at. Look, surgery or not, that is a bad sign. Kevin Porter Jr. Well, this guy's got the highest ceiling, I think, but he's still a wild card. I mean, he's got good size, unlike those other 2, and yeah, he showed flashes of athleticism and skill at an NBA level. Again, the highest ceiling, but we don't know if he can reach that. Nothing is guaranteed with any of these young guys. Bottom line, they spent 4 first-round picks, if you include Dylan Windler, and got nothing special. That means if a guard is the best available, they should take him in the draft. So, if the Cavaliers draft #1 overall, they should take LaMelo Ball. He solves several issues for Cleveland. Look, first off, he's 6'7" at point guard, which sends Garland to the bench in my opinion. He can create offense for his teammates, unlike Collin Sexton. He doesn't improve their defense much, but that is something he can improve. The Cavs have time to let him get there, and he's got the tools. Now, I don't like saying a guy's got star power, so you should draft him. To me, that's totally irrelevant once the season gets going. But when it's already there, with the talent, it's an added bonus. Look, I know Cavs fans aren't gonna like drafting another guard with a high pick, but you have to just admit it. We totally messed up recently in the draft. But if the Cavs pick lower than that, which is totally possible, let's say 3rd or 4th, they should draft Isaac Okoro, which is a totally different strategy, but like I said, they need everything. This lets those young guards develop. Okoro improves their defense right away. He was the best wing defender in college hoops. He needs to work on shooting, but he can finish at the rim. I especially like Okoro here because he can play make when needed. The Cavs need a smart and skilled passer, and Okoro provides that and defense to a team that has neither. So, with the draft out of the way, the Cavs have to take big swings in free agency and trades. And no, I don't think they should tank. This team is already loaded with high draft picks. What do you want to do, get even more high draft picks? No, they've got that. It's time to move on. And the first free agent I think they should swing for is Josh Jackson. He's been a bust so far, but Cleveland could roll the dice and see if his #4 overall talent can finally come through. He's just 23 years old. He was basically kicked off the Phoenix Suns, but in Memphis, he started to turn things around. On the Cavaliers, he can continue to develop. That's what their coaching staff does best. As a fit, he's perfect. A 6'8" shooting guard / small forward. if this gamble pays off, the Cavs will look really smart. Next, another gamble, DeMarcus Cousins. Look, before you get in the comments about the timeline, look, he's just 29 years old. He's in between like a Kevin Love and a Collin Sexton. This is not a tanking team. If Boogie can get and stay healthy, he still has plenty of years to give. I think the best part of this, though, for Cleveland is, if healthy, of course, Boogie would be talented and motivated. Not many teams want to give him yet another chance, but if he was on Cleveland and he impressed, he could finally earn that last big payday that was taken away with injury. So, with the draft and the boom or bust free agents out of the way, it is time for some boom or bust trades. And all the trade talk last year was around Kevin Love, but he wasn't moved because teams don't want a guy who's going to be 32 with about $100 million left and give up anything of value. Like, for instance, the Blazers offered Hassan Whiteside and Kent Bazemore. The Cavs said no. Idiots. If they did that, they would have cap space right now. Instead, they are left no choice but to keep Kevin Love. Instead, I think they should trade Andre Drummond and 3 first-round picks for Joel Embiid. Now, this is trading your future for the superstar you're not going to get otherwise. I mean, unless a player with superstar talent is born, I don't know, miles away from the arena, the Cavs can forget it. The Sixers might choose between Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid if this season is another failure. Reports this year said Embiid would likely get traded. Andre Drummond represents an expiring contract to match Embiid, so he's not part of the Sixers' future, but they can surround Simmons with talent having all these Cavs picks. On Cleveland, Embiid anchors their defense, he provides someone to run the offense through, and he is a lethal front court tandem with Kevin Love. The next trade, Zach LaVine and Lauri Markkanen for Andre Drummond and those same 3 first-rounders. This move brings an influx of young talent immediately to the Cavs. Markkanen fits with the boom or bust philosophy, too, that we talked about. The new front office in Chicago could move LaVine and Markkanen to go into full rebuild mode. With these 3 first-rounders, they can build around Kobe White and Wendell Carter in the draft, or the Bulls could prepare a big offer in case a superstar wants out of his situation like we've seen in recent years. LaVine is an excellent scoring 2-guard that won't always take the ball away from the young Cavs guards. For Markkanen, I mean, I recently made a whole video about him, but bottom line, he needs a new head coach to revamp his career. The Bulls have not fired Jim Boylen yet, so maybe a fresh start in a new city is exactly what he needs. If he doesn't pan out, the Cavs aren't on the hook because he'll be a free agent. Look, I know a lot of those moves were kind of crazy, but like I said at the beginning, this team is in the worst situation of any other team in the entire NBA. They need some gambles to finally be relevant again. And if any of these gambles pay off, they could be a legit playoff team soon. Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a daily NBA video.